tapping. Tap into your purpose. Tapping. Check it. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. We tapping into purpose. Raw purpose. Raw purpose. We tapping into purpose. Raw purpose. Raw purpose.
Yo, what's good, Raw fam? This is your boy Zay.
And what's up, people? This your boy Rashad.
And this is the Raw on Purpose podcast.
I like that. The Raw on Purpose podcast. This is the people's podcast where we bring to you the best subjects, matters, and the topics of discussion that's going to really stimulate your mind, help you really focus on your purpose, and help you to be reminded that you can be your raw, authentic self and still make it in this world, still be a success, and still really tap in. So we're going to have some great conversations to come.
That's it. So first, as always, we appreciate you listening, watching. Thank you for taking your time out of your schedule to even just give us a few moments of your time. We really appreciate it. If you could do us a huge favor, please follow, like, and share. We are on Facebook, Raw on Purpose. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Raw on Purpose _, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Raw on Purpose Podcast, and that's RAONPURPOSE. That's where you can find us, and also we're streaming on all podcasting platforms, so check us out there as well. So we're going to jump right into it today. First of all, bro, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for life, really. You know what I'm saying? It's not perfect.
Yeah.
Because what is a perfect life, but I'm content.
So, and he's using the buzzwords for today because that's exactly what we're talking about. And for myself, man, I'm getting to that place of being content. I'm grateful for every breath that I get to take. But it's like, when life's not going the way you want it to go, or like, you're trying to like even get back started doing things, it's hard to lose that commitment or that contentment, right? We're always trying to attain the goal. So yeah. That's the topic of today is being content and grateful, right? How do we go about being content? How do we go about being grateful? How do we what does that look like in our lives?
Yeah, what type of life is that when you're at a state of contentment and gratitude and whatnot? Like, what type of life is that? What type of state of mind are you in? Emotional state, no matter what the circumstance is.
Right. So, jumping into it, what do you think? What does contentment mean to you? What is being content?
Right, being content. Right. For me, like, contentment is, it's like a certain state of satisfaction of, and even emotional being too, of like peace, satisfaction, not anxious or like really worrying about what is or what isn't, but just being now and present and being grateful in that very moment of your existence, by regardless of circumstance or emotional state.
Yeah. That's good. It's good. I think for myself, being content is finding joy in every moment. Right? Finding that, like, what's that thing that what's the good in what you see? Through all the bad, through all the pain, through all the hurt, what's the good that you can see? And can you appreciate in that moment?
So a little bit of form of optimism.
Yeah. Yeah. Just being able to see things like, in a better light. So I think about Paul, right? When he talks about this in Philippians, he says, like, I've learned to be content. Like, I had a lot, I had a little. I was well fed and I was hungry. Right. I was content. I've learned how to be content in all those areas.
Right.
And oftentimes, when we're fed, right, we want more. Right. And then when we're hungry, right? We focus on what we don't have, opposed to just like being in a space of, hey, I'm content, right? And in his eyes, it's like I'm content in Christ,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he gives me the strength to be content in all those areas, in
Right.
all those spaces.
Because the way I see it is like his presence of not just the presence, but him being present in
Mm.
Christ is the place to where he's strengthened to be able to be solid in his contentment in the abundant season, in the more of the barren season when he got a whole lot to eat and a little bit in need and got plenty.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what stage of life
Yep.
he's when he's in Christ, he's aware and able to be solid enough to be content, to be satisfied, to be presently grateful for everything that he is and has.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because contentment and gratefulness goes hand in hand,
Exactly.
right? That's why, we're told not to covet what other people have
Yeah.
because, they say that competition is the greatest thief of joy. Is it? No, comparison.
Hmm.
Comparison is the greatest thief of joy because you stop focusing on what you can do
Yeah.
and you start focusing on what other people can do.
Right.
And then you begin to compare, opposed to just do what you do well.
Right. Because God's always going to be asking you not what you don't got, but what's in your hand.
Absolutely. He's going to ask you, like, what did you do with what I gave you?
Yeah.
The gifts that I gave you, what did you do? What did you produce with what I gave you?
Exactly. How did you manage that? How did you make something great out of what you had? And it's a lot of times because a lot of us don't recognize the greatness within, don't recognize the value, don't recognize that we do have everything that we need and that we are enough and that we have enough and that He is more than enough.
Absolutely. And that's the key is like he is more than enough, right? I know I was in um I was in like a weird space, and I remember, talking to God, and he was like, my son was enough. And my first response was, no, he's not.
Mm.
And I had to immediately repent from that idea
Mm.
because it was like I was so focused on my situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was so focused on what I was lacking, opposed to just appreciating that first and foremost. I had air in my lungs. I had a heart that beat. I was able to think. I was in my right mind, and I had I had all the necessities. What did I really? Why did I feel like he wasn't enough? What was it that I felt like I was lacking because I wasn't where I wanted to be? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to repent, and I was like, okay, Lord, you know what? You are enough.
Right.
And because through ups and the downs, He's there with us, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and many, they be like, for those that doesn't believe that He's real or His presence is real, like, um, honestly, I really wish you could and see His work in your life. A lot of times we get caught up in what we can do that, we think it's us
Mm-hmm.
when it's really Him working things out, right? We're like, yo, I don't know how, like, you just happen to meet this person at this time of day.
Right.
And like where you met them was outside of your normal schedule, outside of your normal routine, but you happen to, and you're just thinking like, oh, this is just happenstance. It's like, nah, this stuff is,
There are no coincidences.
they're divinely ordered,
Yeah.
right? You meet who you meet for a reason.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you to how you foster and care for that relationship.
Mm-hmm. And that's why that state of mind is so important because if your state of mind isn't in the right place, um, you'll miss those divine appointments. You'll
Mm-hmm.
miss those opportunities, those moments of uh, divine destiny, if you will, or just when God is speaking in different situations or whatnot. Because if you're focused on anything else other than what you already have, um, you're gonna miss it. And that's the thing. God is always speaking.
Yeah.
God is always conveying something to you. It's
Yeah.
like, are we in a position to actually receive it,
Yeah.
see it, and perceive it,
Yeah.
and hear it?
Yeah. And it's crazy. One of the thoughts that I had was like, or a question that I've had is, how do you balance ambition and contentment?
That's a really good one.
How do you balance those two things? Because if you have a bad perception of contentment and a bad perception of ambition, you'll think that they don't go hand in hand. Right? It's okay for you to be ambitious, because ambition means you're wanting to grow, you're wanting to stretch yourself.
Yeah.
Right? um you know Opposed to like being in a place of discontent, to where like, yo, I'm not happy because things aren't going the way that I want them to go, or I'm not making the money that I want to make, or I'm not dating the person I want to date, or I'm not driving, or I'm not living in the place, I'm not trapped. Like,
Right.
focusing on that, opposed to with ambition, it's just a part of your drive for you to be better.
Right. Just a better version of you, day to day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we get so wrapped up because we look at what our neighbors have and we're like, yo, I want that, right? We spend a lot of times looking on social media and seeing all these things, and then not understanding that first and foremost, what you see on social media typically is a lie.
Exactly.
Because it could be somebody else's stuff that they're at, right? So and then you don't know what the algorithm, like the algorithm's putting it to where you see it and you begin to doubt your life. And then you look at your neighbor and say like, yo, they got a brand new car, they did this, they did that.
Right. You see these people online getting new stuff. Then you see somebody close to you, then that's some real salty
Right.
stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you really feel like, why I ain't got all this? Man, I wish I had this. And you got better somebody else. Somebody wants what you got.
Yep. And first, you don't know what the person had to give up.
Right. You don't know the sacrifices. You don't know none of that.
You don't know if a person actually, like, one of the greatest stories that kind of helped me with contentment, or not judging what somebody else receives. I was told a story of this woman had got a fur coat. Right, just got a fur coat. She's at church. And people were like, yo, like, oh, she's trying to be flashy. She got this coat. So somebody came up and was like, so, how dare you wear this fur coat? And the lady responded to her, well, this was my mom's fur coat. And she passed away a few weeks ago. And so in order for her to get this fur coat, someone close to her had to leave the earth in order for her to obtain it. So people are judging without knowing the full story.
Right.
So that's why you have to be content in where you're at, and just understand that like you'll get to the place that you want to go. There's just some principles and some things that you have to establish in yourself first. And contentment's one of those big things.
Right.
Because the pendulum always swings.
Right.
There's always going to be valley moments.
That's life.
Right? You're gonna have valley moments, but you're gonna have those peak moments too.
Right. Just like the scan or the visualization of a heartbeat. If that thing's flat, there ain't no life. So that life's supposed to be. You had them highs and lows to represent that you are actually living this life, that you are going through life.
Yeah.
The peaks and the valleys.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's full of.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, it's like getting into a space where you don't complain.
See, that's the most important part, because that is language straight back to God, straight back to the universe, when we complain and talk about what we ain't got, what ain't working out, how I feel is bad, just everything bad.
Yeah.
It is like, that's not the whole situation. It can't all be bad.
Right. Like that's just a part of the story.
That's just a part of it and a perception of the story.
It's all it is. It's a part. Like
Yeah.
it's a moment.
Yeah.
It's just a, and once you get past that moment, you'll be able to be like, yo, like I was tripping.
Right.
Right.
I'm
like,
sure y'all could like identify with that. I know I can.
Absolutely.
Plenty of times where I know I was just going, just overthinking, doing too much, worrying too much, all that type of stuff. And then, of course, it always works out. And then look back like, man, I was like really tripping. I was really like doing the most. I was really just like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And if like if you don't establish a contentment and a gratitude, you will sell your soul. You will sell your character, your integrity to obtain something
Mm,
because all you're thinking about is the end goal.
mm-hmm.
And oftentimes when people do that, they it actually puts them in a state of depression,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? They want to, like, some people want to kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and you guys have been with us rocking, as we're in our second season with the this podcast. For me, like, I relate a lot of things to scripture,
Mm-hmm.
and it like this contentment thing really hit me when I think of the story of Judas, right? When like you have to be mindful and content, like in your contentment, because if you lack it, it will lead you to death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like like there's a story where Jesus and his disciples are at their friend Lazarus' house, and Mary comes and she brings this box of full, like it has the finest oils,
Right.
and she breaks the box and she's beginning to pour and wash Jesus' feet,
Mm-hmm.
and Judas gets upset.
Right.
Judas is mad. He's like, we could have used that money to go feed the poor. Because, like, Jesus, like, you're all about helping the poor. We could have used that money to feed these people.
Right, but just wash your feet.
Right. And Jesus was like, nah, chill, bro. Like, what she's doing is right. Like, let her do what she do. And in that moment, he was like, yo, like, you going to pick her side over mine? And it began a snowball for him.
Yeah, from that moment.
Because what Jesus knew that the others didn't know, that and even to give more context to Judas, and as why this moment is so important, was he was over the treasury and he was stealing from it.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't caring about he didn't care about what she was doing. He only cared about the money that he can keep for himself.
Exactly. That's what he was keeping tabs on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when Jesus didn't agree with him, he was just like, yo, bump this. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. So he leaves. And that's when he goes to the priest and be like, yo, how much money you give me to give up? I know y'all trying to get him. How much?
I know you can.
I know, right? And so for 30 pieces of silver, he's like, yo, I got y'all. So he goes, he does what what they paid him to do.
Yeah.
And then after he sees Jesus being captured, he's so riddled with guilt that he kills himself.
Yeah.
He was walking with the Savior. He became so discontented with him that he turned him over, which then ultimately led to his death, because he didn't get to the part of his relationship that he understood, like he would have forgave him.
Right.
But he was so busy trying to sell to get to a place because the money was more important.
Yeah, he wasn't content just with him. Money was his contentment.
Absolutely.
So that led him to make these decisions. So he was no longer serving.
Yep.
He was serving.
Yep.
Because you can't serve two.
Yep.
And we find out what that amounted to.
Yep.
So.
And I was like, yo, that's like, That's crazy.
right?
Like when I like and I've heard I've actually never studied that particular like because everybody's like, yo, what made Judas? What made Judas decide? And honestly, I've yet to hear anybody break that down.
I
And so when I read it, I was like, yo, like that's important. That's an important part of being content, which ties into Paul saying in all these things, I'm content because I'm in the presence of the Lord. And he like Jesus was in it.
right beside him.
Cause like what did he do? He tried to go and give them their money back. And they're like, nah, bro, that money has blood on it. We can't even touch it. We can't touch it. And then you went and hung yourself in this. So when you don't have contentment, you will sell those things that are important to you out to obtain something that will not bring satisfaction.
Yep. It just sends you down a spiral. That's even when, like, I remember in my younger days when I was like very financially irresponsible. Like if I either because I did put my money in something that I thought would make me bring me to the state of happiness or contentment, and I did not have it, end up going to pawn something that I had to get something that I thought was of value, which was money. And so it's like, and like I said, that just amounts of decisions leading up to that and after that to go down a certain path of like fighting and to wrestle into toil and all that type of stuff just for some change.
Right. And it's awfully and oftentimes what we're trying to pay for when we do those things, like it's not even worth it.
It's not.
Like, and then here's the crazy thing. So even bringing that part up, I remember someone close to me had pawned their car title, and the car was paid off. They went and pawned their car title so that they could do whatever it was.
Right.
And then now you're paying for the car twice.
Yep.
And you're paying over, right? Because the whole point of it is to keep you in debt. Yep. And it puts you in a deeper hole. And that's why, like, if you think about how the world runs, right? If you ever go to the nice parts of town, you don't ever see anything about a title pawn, right? Title max, like you don't see any of that stuff.
Cash,
right?
None of that stuff.
None of that, right? Yeah. These payday loans and all that stuff. You don't see any of that. It's always in
go to low incomes, the hoods.
Yep.
You don't see a lot of those on them boulevards, streets, and roads, and avenues and whatnot.
Yep. You'll see that with the liquor store and a chicken joint in church.
Yep. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
You gotta have all of them.
And it's like, and we'll get into like, we'll go deeper in that
specifics
later on.
The reasons why.
But it's like, because those are the group of people that tend to be the less content.
Exactly. Always chasing after the carrot. Always trying to be in the rat race to get the cheese.
Yep. Opposed to,
like, we know that.
Opposed to saying, you know what, I don't need it right now. Right? Like, I mean, I've been in places where I'm like, yo, I'm going to go pawn this so I can go get this. And then it's like, dude, if you pawn it, now you got to pay to get it back. And then
you don't just get it back.
They're not going to give you the value in the loan that it's worth. And then it's going to be interest, right? So it's like, like you got to ask yourself, am I really in need of this? Right. Right.
And then scales out.
And then here's the other part to like, even when we go pawn or we do things like that, sometimes it's because we don't have the relationships with the right people that we could possibly be like, yo, I'm struggling right now. Can you lend this, right? Our pride sometimes is so strong that we won't go ask for something.
Yep. Community, trustworthy community.
Right. We don't build a community.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and that goes like that takes
That's another That's another conversation.
right.
That part. Yeah.
That community actually helps you, like they have the mindset of if I got it, you got it.
Right.
And because you have such a good relationship with them, and then you make sure that you fulfill your obligations of taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even if it takes you some time to do it, you still make sure you don't act like you don't owe them nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like, even in the back of your mind, it's like, yo, like, all right, I got it. Like, once I'm able to get myself to a better space right? Because life happens to us all.
Mm-hmm.
So some things are just unexpected. And you can be as prepared as you want to be.
Yep.
Something can come to where you have to do something that you don't want to do. Like, you don't want to pull this cash out of your bank account, or you just took care of everything and then some emergency happened to where or you could be in a state where like things happen back to back to back. So you had to drain your account to do it. And then this one thing was outside of what you had saved. And so now you got to do something different.
Like, man, I didn't pay all these folks off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That goes. Yeah.
But that's a different topic for a different day.
Right.
But it's just like being in that space of being content and just being like, yo, if I don't need it, I'm not going to get it.
Because I think of I think contentment is a whole different thing between two individuals. Say one who lives in a First Nation world and one who lives in like a second or third. It's totally different, because even from the community aspect, like you were just talking about, like in a second, third world nation, you're gonna have a little bit more of a community, because that's pretty much only the way they're gonna make it. First world nations, everybody's about independence and having their own, doing their own, not having to depend on anyone. No interdependence at all, really. But and so says that contentment here is so much different than what contentment might mean for someone living in a very low income third world nation or such. I was watching this video, or almost a clip. This guy talking about how, especially he's talking about specifically people who live in America, like you think you have problems, but you really don't have any real problems living in this type of world compared to people who have to just to get up and know where the next meal comes from. Yeah. Or where you're gonna live at. Yeah. Is a whole nother like weight of like mindset. When you're here, you get up on your $1,000 phone, watch your $1,000 flat screen, or on your $1,000 computer, and you still complain about, of course, you got shelter over your head and this, that, and the other. You still complain about this, that, and the other. But the reason most of us complain a lot is because everybody else is complaining. And it's like the cool thing to do. And misery loves company. So it's when somebody comes around you and they're complaining, you know what, I can't stand that too. Yeah. Yep. Man, I can't. Men be doing the most. Yep. You know what, man, these women ain't nothing, man. You know what you right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so it's like people just tend to just do what they see a lot of people in the inner circle doing a lot of. These men are trash. Ain't no good men out here. They all lazy bums, right? They all broke. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Y'all broke, no good, cheating. Right. Right. None of these women want to submit. They're just so hard-headed. It's like, yeah, they are. All they want is money and all that. It's like, nah, there's some good, like I tell young ladies this all the time. It's like, there's some good men out there. One, they typically are in the friend zone. And honestly, if we were to even dive into that, it's there's a level of you don't have a sense of contentment. So like you can't be content with a man that makes maybe 60, 80,000 a year that lives a very calm, basic life. Right. Takes care of everything. Right. Love, like gives you everything that you need. Right.
but you're not content with that because your girlfriends who are single are flying here, flying there, doing this, doing that. And you're like, yo, I want that life.
Right.
And then you're like, well, you know what? I'm going to go find someone that's going to give me more money. Right? And you leave that good man. And
Right.
then you find out that like your girlfriends were living in an illusion too.
Exactly. The grass ain't always green on the other side, and if it is, because you ain't water yours.
Yep. Or it's like the dude that's like, yo, he sees a younger chick and he goes after that.
Yeah.
Opposed to just being content with what you have. Like
Yep.
you made that choice.
That 80-20 rule.
Yep.
Well, a lot of us, because we ain't content, we got 80% of the 100 that we looking for. Ooh, that 20 look good. All right, I'm going to leave the 80, and I'm going to go for the 20. Try to go back to the 80. Ain't there no more. Now what you left with?
Nothing. Nothing.
Because you definitely ain't going to be satisfied with that only 20. You ain't going to stay there too long.
Yep. And you think about it, and I won't even go there.
Another day.
It's like, it's like you just got to be content with what you got. Appreciate what you got.
Yeah, every level, every step, every place, every form. Be content. Find that level of satisfaction. You have to find that state. That's so important to find that state of mind of truly being grateful, truly being presently content with that which you have. That which you are in everything. Because one, it could be a whole lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
Two, your situation is definitely better than somewhere else, or somebody would like to be in your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And three, I mean, it's best for you. It's best for you to really focus on being content as opposed to, losing that and making decisions that you may regret in the future.
Yep. I was about to say, and four is they could be taken away.
Yep.
Any moment, right? Like you think of like we spend so much of our life trying to store up stuff.
Yeah.
That's gonna stay here when we leave.
Right. You ain't taking nothing with you.
You ain't taking nothing with you. Right? That's why sometimes it's hard for me to even I say like the compassion that I have, the heart that I have for people. Sometimes it's hard for me to understand how you can have so many resources but don't help people that actually need the resources.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or you think about these big corporations, how they have the finances to where they can really help those that work for them. To where they can live a reasonable life without having to jack up prices for the very people you're hiring to be able to afford to buy stuff.
Agreed.
Right? That's what, and again, this is another thing that we can get into is like this whole idea of capitalism, right? This whole, that whole concept of, because honestly, capitalism breeds discontentment.
Yep.
Because
Very
it's
much
always,
so.
I got to have more. Like when you think about the amount of
classes
money.
Too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like you think about the amount of money that that a lot of these billionaires made through the pandemic, that they could actually cover those that had things taken away from them because of it.
Right.
That they could support people and not miss it.
Right.
Like their lifestyles will not change.
Right. Not at all.
But it's like, I want more. I gotta get more. I gotta get more, and it drives you.
Not enough.
It drives you to mistreat people. It drives you to allow people to kill themselves. It puts people like it's the whole dog eat dog world.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, and it's crazy because the only time, especially here in this country, that we seem to come together is when tragedy strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. natural disaster,
Yep.
some kind of attack from somebody else
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
that is the only time we come together. But outside, after it's like, oh, you're messed up. All right, cool. I help you. All right, cool. You good? You good? All right, I'm gonna go back to my
Yep.
house.
I'm back. Yeah.
And I'm only gonna care about myself now.
Yeah. I'm going back to doing me like I
Going
was
back
doing.
right.
Okay. Y'all
This is
good now. So
this is
I'm
my
gonna
good
be.
deed for the moment.
Yeah.
And I wrestle with that. But it's just like, again, it just breeds discontentment. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, I gotta have more. It's like, at what point do you have enough?
Society helps with that too, because they keep driving this force of selling things, propaganda, reaching higher heights,
Yep.
being better.
Yep.
Level after level,
Yep.
attaining masters, becoming master of this. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said earlier, the classes,
Yeah.
especially for those who are competitive. Like, if you have a group and you see your brother or your sister doing something or having something a little bit more, it kind of just like, I want that. Even if you didn't want it again, it's like
Yep.
that little something that catches your eye. Never even wanted it before, never even been trying to even go for that or whatever, but because you've seen somebody close to you or something like that, and maybe what they're showing their level of happiness or somewhat illusionary contentment or whatever, you're like, I want that because I'm not content. So maybe if I get that, I'll be at the state that they look that they're
Yep.
at, happy, content, joyful. Though we don't always know that's the case.
Yep. Yeah. It's like, if you just take a moment and appreciate all that you have.
Count them blessings up.
Like, and that's the thing that opens the door for more.
That's where we had to go. Like you say, we had to go there because that's everything. That's everything. That gratitude, that appreciation, that recognition of that which has been given to you, given,
Mm-hmm.
okay, given to you. You didn't have to really do much. You know what I'm saying, to get that. Just like your breath, you started with it. You got it the whole way throughout life. There shouldn't be a day that we are living and utilizing this breath that we don't express gratitude for it. Once again, it could be taken away in a matter of a moment.
Just like that. Just like that.
Yeah.
That's like, when I get into conversation with people, like, man, there's no God. And I'm just like, how did you breathe? Or how did you, like...
Right. So your lungs, your breath, your heart, and all that still going like it is. It's just like a happenstance thing.
Or it's like, how'd you wake up this morning, right? And somebody's like, well, my alarm clock. I was like, well, have you ever slept through your alarm clock? So it wasn't the alarm clock. Well, my child comes in. Have you ever been so asleep that your child came screaming and you just didn't hear them? And so they just was like, okay, they're not waking up, and they go do whatever that they were going to ask you to do, right? It's like, no, like, these outside sources do not wake you up.
Right.
God.
That's what you think wakes you up.
Right. God gives you the allowance. That's why some people go to sleep and they don't wake up. They just no longer had the opportunity to wake up. That's why you could be talking to somebody today or now, and 15 minutes later you get some news that they're no longer here because like, we don't have control over our lives.
Nope.
Like, we think we do.
That's exactly. We really think we have
especially here, right?
Especially here.
It's the greatest lie that we've been told.
Yeah.
It's the greatest lie. It's like, like I tell people look at me crazy. I'll be like, yo, we had this conversation. Actually, this is what sparked this was I said, man, if I made $1 million a year, I'd live off of 10% of it, and I'd spend the other 90% figuring out how to release it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We did.
Half of it would be to give it away to help whoever is in need. And people that are in legit need, not people trying to game a system, not people trying to take advantage of people's good hearts, but people that are genuinely, they're doing everything they can to get a foot up. And it seems like things just keep knocking them down. So now having a resource to be able to help them.
Right.
Right. And then taking some and investing it for my legacy, which is the wife that I've been given, and the wife that I chose, and the child I've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Right, to support them and whatever comes behind, me in my future, and the legacy that I'm building, right? And even my niece, right, contributing towards her life and her future, and those that are around me. Like, for me, it's just like, because $1 million a year, $100,000 lifestyle is great if you have the correct mindset.
$100,000 once again is, and especially in today in America, is nothing. In another nation, is extremely well.
Well, honestly, in another nation, 50,000 is really good. Hey, heck, you could say 30,000.
Now, the reason why I say, like, at least in a nation like this, because once again, everything's about putting all this stuff out here that you need. There's so much to buy. There's never a moment of satisfaction. It's never like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
that's why I said there's a hundred. It depends on your mindset.
Exactly.
Like your contentment. Like I could say, I mean, I live off of a $50,000 lifestyle now.
Mm.
Like I really don't need more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, outside of me getting a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, like I even thinking about like, yo, all right, when I go to buy my first house, I'm like, why do I want a 6-bedroom house? There's 3 of us, and 2 of us share a room. Why would I need it?
You have to have a purpose for it.
Right? You have to have a purpose. And then for me, it's like, because the way I've been raised is my dad, when he was like, Lord, let me get a house. And then once I get a house, let me get a house with enough space that if anybody is in trouble, I can help them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's exactly what I would do.
Right.
And then for anybody that thinks like, yo, I'm just saying this, like my brother can confirm that if I have access, you got it.
Yep.
Right? Like, like
Yep.
I've had to work on and help my wife understand that what we have is not ours. What we have is to steward, and if we can help somebody, help somebody. Because there's going to be a moment where we need the help ourselves.
Exactly.
So being content, so it's like, yo, why do I need this? All right, cool. It's to do this, right? To be able to someone again gets down on their luck and they need a place to stay, to be able to help them. If there's a kid that they're leaving their family and they're coming to college and their family like wants somebody to kind of watch over or spend time with them, motivate them, be like, yo, all right, cool. You got a spot at the house. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just to be able to, not because I want people to come over. And I have to, and if I'm honest with you, I have to fight that battle like, yo, I want this because I see what my friends have and I want to one-up them, right?
Yeah.
It goes to that. It's like a part of me because I am competitive by nature, right? I'm a competitive person, but it's like, yo, you got to balance the
reality of who you are, where you are, what you got,
right,
and what you've been exposed to,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And understanding, like, if even like people think that, like, all right, let's say you got qualified for like a $600,000 loan, right? And people will go buy that much of a house, opposed to being like, yo, all right, I qualify this. Let me go get 2.
All right.
Right. Let me go get 2.
Right.
And I can rent 1 space out.
All right.
Right. Or like for myself, for my children, like the idea I have is like I want to be able to, wherever they go to school, to go buy a house by that school so that now they have a place to live, and then they can rent that out to whoever, right? Mm-hmm. So that they can generate their income and it stays in the house. So when they graduate and they leave that house, it's still there for the next students to come and live.
Yep.
And then for them, it's like, instead of them having to come back and living in my house, I have properties that they can now go live in.
Exactly.
So they can learn this life with a covering over them.
Right.
Right? And I'm talking about like while they're single. Like once you make that marriage decision, especially the daughter that I have, like, yo, like once you get married, you're no longer under my covering. You're under your husband's. Mm-hmm. Now I will help in any way that I can, but like your reliance on me.
Yeah.
Right.
He got you now.
He got you now. I'm still there to support because again, you might have moments where you need help, and even I'm blessed with a son. Mm-hmm. Same thing. It's like, yo, like need a little here, and the job for me is to teach them.
That's the key.
right? People think that like, you got to have an inheritance for your children's children. And people think it's money,
Only the
but
monetary, it's
but
so
if-
much more.
it's the mindset, it's
Mindset,
character,
wisdom.
all those things.
Because that's what carries
Yep.
the monetary part through and through.
Yep.
Generation part.
Yep. And honestly, one of those principles is contentment. To teach them to be content with everything.
Because that goes, which we'll later be talking about, like the discipline part. Disciplining yourself enough to remain in that state of contentment, disciplining yourself to stay in contentment long enough to work that plan until and not rush or jump the gun and, try to do more than you can handle and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, we'll be talking. We got episodes coming about discipline too now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got a lot, man. That's a lot. You just look at life, and when you begin to like look at things in a different light, it just like the world begins to open up when you start really thinking. Right? When you really start sitting down and just thinking and appreciating your life and appreciating the world and all these things, like the world just seems to open up.
Yeah.
And, some for the good, some for the bad, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. But it's just such a beautiful thing.
It is.
It's a beautiful thing.
It really, truly is.
So, man, we hope you guys enjoyed this conversation on contentment.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, understanding it's necessary. Right, it's important. Like it helps even push you towards success. Is being grateful and content in where you are, still having the drive to move forward, but appreciating what you have in this season, in this moment, no matter how the outlook looks right now, or no matter how it looks, just appreciating the moment.
Every moment, every single God-given moment.
Yep.
Maximize it. Carpe diem, as the saying says, like maximize that moment, see the value in it, appreciate it, and go on that and let that take you from next level to level. Because that's like the fulfillment of life when you are content in every moment. Because like if you think about moments where you're not content, that's like moments you kind of regret.
Yeah.
So it's like just like having that state of mind and that like kind of way of living of recognizing like, okay, this is where I'm at. I know where I want to go. I know where God, what has for me and all that. But I'm content because I know this isn't it.
Yeah.
But this isn't it. But this isn't all.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good stuff. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please again like, share, follow. Follow us on our different social media platforms: Facebook, Raw on Purpose. Instagram, Twitter, Raw on Purpose _, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're, watching us on YouTube, definitely please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so whenever we go live or anything drops, you can get it. And comment and share and let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Any topics you would like for us to talk about, to chop it up about. You can also email us at rawonpurpose@gmail.com, and that's RAONPURPOSE@gmail.com. Hit us up. We would love to hear from you. The good, the bad, the ugly, critiques, like anything, right? We're just here to, again, our whole mission is we're bringing our authentic selves into our purpose. So we're being ourselves on purpose.
On purpose, that's it.
Purpose. So until next time, this is your boy Zay.
Of course, it's your boy Rashad.
And this is the Raw on Purpose podcast.
Peace.
Tapping, tap into your purpose. Tapping. Check it. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. They act as if we see, no hear, no speak, no evil. We tapping into purpose. Raw on purpose.